My name is Gus Medina, and I was the former project manager for the Environmental Education and Training Partnership, which was at NAAE for 5 years, and then at University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point for 10 years. And I'm currently on the advisory council of EE360, which is the latest iteration of EPA's National Environmental Education Training Program.
Hi, I'm Judy Browse. I'm the Executive Director of the North American Association for Environmental Education. I've been in that role for 5 years as of this week. And before that, I have been involved with NAAE for many years as a member of the board, as the conference chair in 1995, and have always looked at NAAE as my professional association.
Hi, I'm Rick Wilkie. I'm a Emeritus Distinguished Professor of Environmental Education from the University of Wisconsin, former president of NAAE, and also former director of the National Environmental Education Training Program, and was headquartered at UWSP, and also the founder of the National Environmental Education Advancement Project. Judy, I would have never became president if it wasn't for John Deisinger. At a board meeting, I've been for years advocating the merger of Conservation Education Association, CEA, and NAAE, and finally John said, "Rick, you got to put up or shut up." He said, You're respected and involved in CEA and NAAE, so you need to run for president and then work to bring those two organizations together in a merger."
Another milestone is when we changed our name from the National Environmental Education Association to the North American Association for Environmental Education. And again, Rick, I think that was under your presidency.
We had people coming to our conference from Canada and some from Mexico, but more from Canada. And we started to think about serving some of their needs too and their interests, and thought that it would make sense to expand from the national name to North American, because we already were having that participation and we were interested in expanding our scope of influence and also better serving people from across the continent.
One other thing that comes up is the Research Commission. It's had several names over the years, but that has been really critical and useful for the field in terms of bringing researchers together. And now they meet 2 days before the conference. But it was really, over the years, an opportunity to bring together researchers and practitioners during the conference and just have that kind of exchange where people are, they're talking to each other and learning from each other. So that has been both a major contribution, I think, for the research that's done in the field, but also for the practitioners in the field to be able to have that interaction.
So the other things, when you look at the history and you think about it, that jump out at me as a field is some of the building blocks were legislation that passed to create a national mandate. That's a big one for environmental education. And even though there was a 1970 Act in the Department of Education, it wasn't as strong as the 1990 Act that passed with EPA setting up the Office of Environmental Education.
The first grant went to the University of Michigan, and it was at Michigan for 3 years. I think it was 92 to 95. And then for the following 15 years, there was a group of partners that worked together as the Environmental Education and Training Partnership. I think what's really key about ETAP is that it had a 15-year run. So it was able to move certain things along. Most funding is 3 years usually. This is a 5-year program, but the fact that we could actually work on some things for 15 years was amazing.
The partnership of all these organizations led by NAAE and then later by UWSP, the ability, as you just said, Gus, to look at a longer time frame and to work across these organizations to accomplish these things and to collectively decide on what was important for the field, it was tremendous. Something else, if we drill down to the state level, that ETAP was responsible for was providing training, leadership skills, and funding to the state EE affiliates and provincial EE affiliates in strengthening and focusing on their capacity to build environmental education programs and organizations within their states. And a lot of the things that happened there wouldn't have happened without the ETAP support, being able to bring these people together to share ideas and strengthen their leadership skills, much was accomplished.
When you give people funding and you bring people together and you create this kind of cohesive team, really good things can happen. And we're very excited about EE360, which is the next iteration of this training grant, to see how we can not only train more people at all levels, but also strengthen the field. It's those two areas, as well as creating a more inclusive and stronger movement.